Hi, welcome to ArrowsTV. I'm your host, Johnny Kelly.
And I'm your co-host, Joseph Bohr.
We start today with the only action we have from the weekend is the Arrows men's team that went away to Liverpool. Nice little subplot is that they'd already played twice before this weekend and lost twice. Two tight games in the Patrons Cup made an interesting encounter for the men.
Here are the highlights.
The start of the ball.
That was a big win for us on the weekend there. Positive result. Everyone played well.
Definitely. It was also pleasing to see in overtime. We won the overtime period 9-8, only with 2 field goals. You know, we took care of ourselves from the line. 5 free throws in overtime, 5 successful free throws in overtime. Took us to the victory, and that's pleasing also. It showed that we were still being aggressive. And that made a big difference for us. We didn't have that aggression in the first half, I don't feel.
Yeah.
Massively. But that's we'll move on, and we've got West Side away this week for the men. It's another away game, and we're just one more until their first home game of the year. Now, when you put this into context, they've played 5, won 4 in the league all the way from home. Very pleasing and very exciting. Another game on the Saturday this weekend was the under-14s. Joseph, what can you tell us about that?
Well, they won 92-41. Logan Shepherd had 25, Isaac Aswith with 18, and James Stennett also with 18. So that's a good win for them.
Yeah, it's good to see, especially, Logan and Isaac have been doing it all season long, where they've been in the scorers and are obviously very talented, but it's good to see James Stennett starting to make moves forward now. I mean, I saw it in training on Friday, he really got it going. but also now just starting to produce in games as well. So that's really pleasing. On Sunday, the action was with the Sheffield Gems, a project that the Arrows have been working on for a couple of years now with the Sheffield Gems, and really starting to catch a lot of momentum. They had a great win this weekend, 57-47. That sends them through to the Leeds Ladies League semi-final. In order to get there, they had to beat Dayton, who are perennials in that league and have won many, many titles since they became existing in the league. So a win for them was absolutely fantastic. Captain Kate Loftus top scored with 12 points. Kendall James and Rachel Campbell also had 10 points. And they're looking now at a chance of maybe progressing into National League next year.
Yeah, definitely.
Thoughts?
Yeah. Well, from seeing some of their games this year, they really have seemed to be working well as a unit, and it's pleasing to see they can do a lot of damage.
Yeah, I mean, there's been an influx of players. I think that has helped them, and obviously they're playing a different style to what you normally see from women's basketball. It's a lot more free-flowing, very Arrows nature, about it, and yet it's working for them.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. The slightly down news of the weekend for the Arrows club was that the under-18s and under-16s couldn't quite get their victories. The under-16s losing by just 4 points at home to Northants Titans, who are looking like some dark horses to sneak into the playoff positions. 18s away at Derby, but chances to bounce back for them. They're 4-2. Plenty of time to really turn it around and start pushing up towards the top two and the higher echelons of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could have said that first time. That would have been quite good. But there we go, echelons. We'll work that in. But that's good stuff. So let's talk basketball here. Let's talk basketball. Arrows Basketball Club, we've had this culture, this history of free-flowing movement, pass and move, not really set plays. What are the advantages and disadvantages of that?
Well, I think the free-flowing style really gives us the opportunity to develop as creative players. There's not many players around, especially like the northern side of basketball, where you do have players that can run out, make their own plays, be able to, include other people into the offenses where an offense necessarily can miss plays out if they doesn't play for their strengths. I think that really does help with having, free-flowing basketball. But it depends on work ethic, I think, with free-flowing, because then you have to spend time on your own individual game. If it really shows if you're on the court and you have not been dribbling over the summer, or you've not been working on your game over the summer, because when you play free-flowing, you tend to make mistakes if you haven't done the hard work. So I think it's a great thing to do because it develops players, but players also need to know that they have to take time in themselves to be able to catch up with that, because free-flowing basketball is more of a grown-up set of basketball rules. Like, you have to know the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think it is good, and I think it's well worked within the junior system for it to be successful.
No, that's good. And defensively, I know definitely the men's and traditionally it's been a lot half-court man-to-man defence from the Arrows, and there's not an overemphasis on strict defensive schemes. Is that a good thing, a bad thing? What are the pros and cons of that for you?
I think in our mindset with defense, we tend to just put in 100% and see if there's anything else that can, come about. If we make mistakes, there's always somebody helping. And even when we don't help, we have a scramble. So we always have a player meeting another player. So I think especially with talented teams with 4 or 5 different sets, you need defense to be your anchor. So I think the way that we play defense really does annoy teams, and I've seen that all the way through the juniors to the men. Just being able to look out for each other, finding their own strengths on defense, and be able to move as a unit and work as a unit.
No, that's excellent input and something for the juniors really to take note in, that work ethic that you really have to take on. It's not just about turning up to trainings and getting your work in there. It's about what you're going to do outside of those trainings. That's going to improve you on the court as well. That's excellent input. Thank you, Joseph.
All right.
So we'll be moving on. Like I said, only the one piece of action to show you this week. Next week, a bit of balling or falling for you guys, which went down very well, especially with Ellis Salim the Dream. That went down very well with him. Not so much with Zerain.
Really?
No idea why.
Don't know.
Tough crowd. So we'll see you all next week. Stay tuned, stay loyal. See you later.